everyone. Today we are going to discuss about how to create a custom image in Azure. So this is our web server in which we hosted a website through IS feature. I already shown in my previous video. So we are creating a custom image of this web server. So custom image nothing. We are creating a copy of this virtual machine that is our web server. So now start our web server. Now click on refresh. Let's see it is running or not. Okay, now it's running. Okay, now click on this web server and we can see an option capture, and now click on image option, and now select the resource group, and you have to mention this option. Yes, share it to gallery as an image version. So now you have to mention the target as your compute gallery. So I'm naming it as Windows. Since I hosted my website on Windows machine, so I'm naming it as Windows. Now click on OK. So now you have two options, generalized and specialized. So in generalized, you have need separate username and password for this virtual machine. So in case of specialized, you can use the same credentials. You don't need any separate username and password. So I'm going with specialized. So you have to mention the target's VM image definition. I'm naming it as golden image. So we can see selected the voice type Windows by default. Now click on OK. Now scroll down and now you can see version details. Now I'm naming it as 0.0.1. So next time any update comes, you can name it as version number as 0.0.2 like that. You can mention the end of life date also. So how long this custom image need to be in this our Azure portal, you can do that also. So you have the replication options. So now this custom image is deployed in South India. So if you want this image in other region also, you can do that one also. So if you want like that, you can select the target regions. So I'm going with the standard HD local redundant storage. If you want to go with premium, you can go with that also, as this is a lab environment. I'm giving it as standard. So now you can create. So it is recommended to stop our web server before we creating an image. So it's a good practice. I'm not stopped when I created the image. So that's why it's automatically stopped the virtual machine. So it is recommended to stop the virtual machine before you create a custom image. Okay, now the deployment is in progress. Okay, now it's completed. Now we can create a virtual machine with our custom image. I will show you. So this is our custom image which we created. Now go to home and click on virtual machines. And now click on create Azure virtual machine. Now you have to mention the resource group and name it as Azure training. And you can mention the virtual machine name. I'm naming it as web server 2. So you can mention the region. So I'm going with South India, in which we hosted our image in South India. So click on this see all images and click on shared images. So we can see our custom image which we created. You can select that one. I'm selected. Now everything by default. Now click on next. Okay, 127 GB fine. Now review and create. Now we are creating our virtual machine from our custom image. Now create. Okay, now deployment is complete. Now go to resource. So this is our web server 2. So in virtual machine, you can see two web server. One is our custom image web server. So select the port and start it. So in web server 2, you have to mention the inbound port rule. You have to allow the HTTP port number 80. Then only the clients can access our web server. So create port rule and inbound port rule. So in service, you can go with TCP, and in service, you can go with HTTP. For HTTPS, you need a SSL certificate. Okay, now we allowed the port number 80, that is HTTP. So okay, now go to RDC manager, and so this is our web server. So you have to add server. We have to add our custom image web server also. I have to mention the public IP address and naming it as web server 2. So this is our web server which we created through custom image. Now click on add. Now click on this web server 2. So you can mention the username and credentials. Since I'm going with a specialized, you can mention the same username and password of our web server. Now click on yes. Okay, now we can see the PDF file which we copied. So same we can see in our this web server also. I will show you. See, both have same files. So it's a copy of our web server. Now let's see, we can access our website through our custom image virtual machine, that is our web server 2. Okay, Carvilla is coming with our web server 2 also. With this public IP address also, we can see that paste this public IP address. See. So we can access our website with our both virtual machines. So in this way, we can create our custom image in Azure.